Good
Morning, sir.
morning. So, am I audible? Clearly audible?
Yes, sir. You are clearly audible. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, it is fine. So,
Okay, sir.
Mohit,
Thank
if you are ready, we can begin with the mock.
Yes, sir. We can.
Okay. So, Hrishav sir, please start.
Okay. Okay. So good morning, Mohit.
Good morning, sir.
So how are you?
I am doing good, sir.
Oh, so introduce yourself briefly.
So my name is Mohit Bansal. I am 29 years of age. I am from Dhanbad, Jharkhand. I did my basic schooling from DAV Centenary Public School, Dhanbad. Thereafter, I did my BTech in Mining Machinery Engineering from IIT ISM Dhanbad in 2017. Thereafter, I have been working for Coal India Limited since 2017. Presently, I am posted in Central Coalfield Limited as a Deputy Manager in Excavation Cadre. My hobbies and interests include doing weight and resistance training. Apart from that, I also like to solo drive my car.
Okay. So you completed your 10th, 12th, and graduation from Jharkhand, and now you are posted in Jharkhand as well, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
So have you been out apart from travel and tours? Have you been outside of Jharkhand for some substantial period of time?
So during my UPSC preparation days, I was there in Delhi for 2 months, I guess. Apart from that, I have never been outside of Jharkhand for a substantially longer period.
Okay, so you were in or near old Rajendra Nagar, right?
Yes, sir, for around 2 months only. Way back in
So
2018,
it's
sir.
also Bihar and Jharkhand only, not Delhi, right? It's
I agree, sir.
so tell me five subjects of your mining machinery engineering.
So five subjects of mining machinery engineering would be strength of material, kinematics of machineries, open cast mining, mine electrical one, uh, environmental aspects of mining. This would be the five subjects of mining machinery engineering.
Okay. So you talked about environmental aspect of mining. So I want to ask you, how does mining is affecting Jharkhand as a whole?
So, mining mostly had a regressive effect on the environment of Jharkhand. The entire mining belt or the coal field belt, for example, Jharia coal fields or the Raniganj coal fields or the Bermo coal fields, are one of the most polluted area of the entire India. That can largely be attributed to the presence of coal and the mining industries here. Apart from that, the Saranda jungle that is in Western Singhbhum district is also severely affected by the mining operations. So overall, there is a regressive effect due to the mining operations.
Okay, recently I think 2 days back there was this mine collapse in Dhanbad itself, right? Several got trapped there. 3 or 4 people were died as per that data.
Yes, sir.
So what do you think? What was the reason for such collapse, and how can we prevent such collapse in future?
Sorry, sir. There was a glitch on my side. Uh, uh, so the main reason could be at. Yeah. But yeah, sir, am I audible? Sorry, sir. That was a glitch on my part, sir. Uh, uh, so the main reason for the mining disaster that took place 2 days back was the illegal mining that was going on from the sidelines of the district administration or the coal companies that earlierly used to excavate the coal. That was the primary reason. Secondly, the unscientific excavation of coal that happened in the past as well is the secondary reason that could have led to that disaster. These are the primary two reasons that I could think of.
And how can you ensure to prevent such disasters in future?
Sir, we will have to take a multi-pronged approach for that. On the first hand, the mining company should ensure that after they completed the mining, they must reclaim the mines and doesn't allow it to lay open in the environment. Secondly, on the distinct administration part, it should ensure that the communities that reside alongside the periphery of mine should be adequately provided with the jobs such that they don't indulge in the illegal activities. And if at all they are indulging in the illegal mining activities, there should be stringent actions on them, and law should take its recourse. Thirdly, the legal prospect in that regard, there is a legal black hole in that regard. There should be a stringent actions on the coal companies as well. If they don't comply with the laws, they should be penalized. Fourthly, the outsourcing companies that earlier used to do mining there, they must comply with the scientific manners of mining, such that the seams that there are should have the proper strength, and the caving in process that led to the disaster could be prevented in future.
Sir, I just
Okay.
want to ask some question. So you mentioned about mining reclamation, right? So this
Yes.
mining reclamation is a major issue in our mines, right? So what is the
Yes.
solution to this?
So first of all, the laws that is the Mines and Mineral Development Act of 1957 is quite clear on the mining reclamation, that the mining reclamation part should itself there be in the mining plan, and without mining reclamation process, mining plan couldn't be approved. Secondly, the safeguard measures that the district authority looking after the mining process should inspect more frequently that regarding the progress of reclamation in that mines. Thirdly, the escrow account that is there with the coal controller of India should ask the coal companies to deposit more money in that, such that in the case of failure of reclamation, that money could be used to reclaim the mining site from that escrow account. Sir, this could be
Right,
the possible.
right. So you mentioned about escrow account. You mentioned about there are legal safeguard. All these things are there, but it is not
Yes.
still happening. So what is the problem? What is the real issue?
Sir, it is largely happening. I would like to disagree on it. I have a different viewpoint that it is largely happening, but still there are standalone examples that where the issues has not been dealt with effectively. That could largely due to the negligence of the coal companies, or the complacency or the complacent attitude that they have towards the reclamation process. Secondly, there could be a conflict of interest regarding the regarding which should which organization should do with the reclamation, whether it should be the district administration who should take the lead in deciding what sort of reclamation should be done. And secondly, there could be coal companies which already have their interest in that regard. Thirdly, the local communities, the demands of local communities are hardly heard. What they want in their reclaimed land, whether they want ecological park, or they want the tourist places to be developed, or they want the afforestation activities to be developed. So these are the main planks on based on which the activities are not taking place in some pockets of India.
So like last question on this one, before sir will sir take again. Ki you said about the attitude of coal companies. So I think the Coal India is the major coal company in our country and especially in your area. So is this the attitude also with Coal India? Is even Coal India is not being reclaiming the mines?
So, to put that in a blanket way, that the attitude of Coal India is not up to the mark would be regressive to say. But yes, there could be some examples where the particular coal companies, because Coal India is made up of certain coal companies. For example, 9 coal companies makes up the Coal India. There could be examples of some areas in some coal companies which may be complacent or the negligent in that regard. But by and large, the Coal India is surely doing its part on the reclamation process.
And just one more thing, you also mentioned to one of the answer to Rishabh sir that there are some legal black hole. Can you expand that? What do you mean by that?
So basically, we take over the land based on legal acts. For example, we have Coal Bearing Area Act of 1957. Apart from that, we also have LARR Act of 2013. Both have the varied perspective with regard to reclamation and rehabilitation. So, if these two laws could be submerged such that there could be a clarity on which laws to be followed on which type of land. Secondly, there are some loopholes also in Forest Conservation Act, where the afforestation activities regarding the mining lease, the leased land of the forest area, should also be consumed in that laws. So the trinity of laws regarding the mining belt should be made convergent with each other. This is what I meant by the loopholes.
Okay, okay. Sir, please continue.
So, coming back to the question regarding Jharkhand, so will you be comfortable if you are allotted the different cadre, like if you are sent to Northeast or even in South India? So will you be comfortable there? How will you manage that?
Sir, I believe that I would be totally comfortable while working in those environments because where I live is one of the most backward region of Jharkhand, or if at all in India, if that is not an overreach. So, if I have worked here, if I have lived in the mining belt of Dhanbad and Bokaro, and if I have observed the while inspection to different mines in my area or in Jharkhand, and I felt that yes, if I could live here, then I could live in any place of India, and I could be able to give my skills and my part of duties in that areas as well. Sir.
Okay. So how many national parks are there in Jharkhand?
So presently there is only one national park in Jharkhand, that is Betla National Park, which is situated in the Palamu district of Jharkhand.
So can you tell me five common trees of Jharkhand with their botanical name?
Sir, according to ISFR 2021 report, Sodia robusta, that is sal tree, is the most widely spread tree in Jharkhand. Secondly, Terminilla tementosa, that is the saj tree, comes on the second place. Thirdly, Maduka latifolia, that is mahua tree, is on third place. Fourthly, Lagerstromia pavliflora is on the fourth place. Apart from that, if we move to rural places, we would find that there Butia monosperma, that is the palas tree, is also largely prevalent. And if we move to the urban spaces, we would see that the Magnifera indica, that is the mango tree, is largely prevalent there.
Okay, good. And what is the state flower or state plant of Jharkhand?
So the state flower of Jharkhand is Butia monosperma, that is the palas flower, and the state tree is the Sodia robusta, that is the sal tree.
Nice. Okay, so there have been increased incidence of forest fires in Jharkhand, right? Recently, it has increased over the time. So, what do you think? What are the reasons for that?
So, according to ISFR 2021 report, over 30% of Jharkhand's total forest area, or the green cover, is prone to extreme fire prone areas. And the main reasons that I could think of is that on the first part, there could be the extreme heat waves that is prevalent nowadays, that leads to incidental forest fire because the moisture in the forest reduced substantially. Secondly, is the main mat factors, that is the if I could cite an example, during the months of Holi, there is a culture in tribals that they collect the mahua flower, that is the Maduka indica flower. For that, they ignite a creeping fire on the forest bed. That sometimes lead to incidental large-scale forest fires. These are the major reasons that I could think of the forest fires.
Okay, nice. So, why do you think June 5th is celebrated as World Environment Day?
Sorry, sir, can you please repeat your question?
Why 5th June is celebrated as Environment Day?
Sir, am I allowed to make a guess?
Okay, go ahead.
Sir, if I am rightly recalling it, it is that day on which the UN Environmental Program UNEP comes into existence.
Okay, so are you sure about that?
No, sir, it's a guess. I think I have read it somewhere, but I'm not sure about it.
Okay, okay. Fine. So, tell me few GI tags from Jharkhand.
Sir, the Sorai Pohwar painting that is prevalent in the Hazaribagh district and the Plam district of Jharkhand is the major GI tag honor in Jharkhand, sir. That is a traditional painting where they use the organic colors that is made up of rice husk or whether the ochra color that is used to make the paintings on the walls. So, right over paintings.
Few others.
So, I'm not able to recall this.
Okay. Okay. Tell me the environmental impact of bifurcation of Bihar and Jharkhand.
So, there are multi-pronged impact of the bifurcation of Bihar and Jharkhand. First of all, the major forest lands of the erstwhile Bihar went to Jharkhand, which made around 30% of the total area of Jharkhand. Secondly, the major forest part also included the activities of left-wing extremism that led to a development in Naxalite events in Jharkhand. Therefore, the forest management activities couldn't be carried out in an efficient manner in Jharkhand. Thirdly, the wildlife part. Most of the elephant corridors or the other wildlife sanctuaries went to Jharkhand, like the Hazaribagh Wildlife Sanctuary. While at the same time, I agree that there are other national parks and wildlife sanctuaries in Jharkhand, but the major ones came to in Bihar, where the major ones came to Jharkhand. Thirdly, the forest machinery, that is the forest department. Since Jharkhand was a new state, it had to deal with the governance structure. That is from the grassroots level, a new forest machinery has to be developed, which provided us many challenges in the initial years of formation of Jharkhand. These are the major challenges or the implications of the bifurcation of Bihar and Jharkhand in the forest realm.
Okay. So few experts claim that slash and burn kind of agriculture, they are beneficial for the environment. Do you agree with this statement?
So there are certain practices inside the slash and burn category which are beneficial for the environment, while there are others example also which are detrimental to the forest ecology as well. For example, in the northeastern state, we have few examples where they do the slash and burn agriculture while keeping the trees intact. So if that process is encouraged, we can say that the slash and burn process is beneficial for the forest ecology. While if they go for the outright devastation and destruction of forest land, then that could be detrimental for the forest health. So it has to be seen in the entirety, sir, not based on the particular example or case per se, sir.
Okay. So can you tell me a few PVTG from Jharkhand?
So there are particularly 8 PVTGs in Jharkhand out of 32 tribes that have been enshrined in Jharkhand. The foremost is the Asu tribe. That is a particular PVTG from Jharkhand. Apart from that, sir, I am not able to recall any other name right now. Only I could recall the Asu tribe from Jharkhand.
And are there any Ramsar sites in Jharkhand?
Sorry, sir, I am not aware of it. As per my knowledge, I haven't read about any, but I'm not totally sure about it, sir.
Okay. Okay. So just briefly, can you tell me the role of women in environmental protection with respect to Jharkhand? How can women play important role in that?
So the foremost is the joint forest management technique. For example, we have a good forest management JFM joint forest management technique in Saranda Forest of Jharkhand, where the village forest management committee consisted of around 50% of the women population, and it has emerged as a classical textbook example where the involvement of women could lead to a higher degree of protection to the forest. Secondly, women are the primary people who goes to collect the NTFE, that is the non-timber forest produce in the forest. So a larger responsibility or the role is bestowed upon them, where they have to inform the forest department regarding any illegal activities that are being carried out, or where a presence of any minute fire in the forest. So they could lead a exemplary example where the forest department or the forest ecology in an overall way could benefit from them.
Okay, so you are interested in cricket as well. Can you tell me who won this first edition of WPL this time?
Sorry, sir, I'm not
Which
able
team?
to recall it.
Women Premier League, that the women version of IPL.
Uh, Sir,
Okay.
I'm not able to recall it right.
Okay, so you are no problem. So you are involved in teaching as well, right?
Yes, sir, I was involved in teaching, sir, during the during my college
Okay.
days.
Okay. So can you tell us few reforms which we could bring in UPSC? Just three reforms which you would like to see in UPSC.
The first and foremost is the regarding the interview appeared candidates who couldn't make it to the final list. The UPSC could try to fit them somewhere in the HR position or the managerial position in some PSUs where the government has the larger stake. Secondly, the regarding the optional subjects, I think the marking scheme in the optional subject is quite vague, which is largely varied across the subjects. So there could be a rationalization within the optional subjects. A few of the optional subjects could indeed become a compulsory subject, like the public administration could become the indeed a integral part of the GS syllabus. Secondly, thirdly, the interview process. I think that the weightage of interview process should be increased, and while saying that, there should be a transparency in the whole system where there could be a equal weightage across the board, and there could be a transparency mechanism to ensure that the every aspirant gets a fair chance, and that in that manner.
Okay, that's all from my side. Now over to you, Mayank.
Okay. So, hello, Mohit. Mohit, like, am I audible? Like, there is some issue with my network. So, if I am not audible, please let me know, right?
So you are clearly audible. There is no issues.
Okay. So, Mohit, can you tell me what is the forest cover of Jharkhand?
So, forest cover of Jharkhand as per ISFR 2021 report is around 29.4%.
Yes, like which is a very good forest cover, right? But many
Right.
experts says that Jharkhand is suffering from like what they call as empty forest syndrome, right? So, have you heard about this? Can you tell me?
So, I could make a guess out of it. I could make a, but I'm not sure about this term, but I could make a realistic guess about it.
Please go ahead.
So, while we talk of anti-forest syndrome, what I understand from that is the developmental process as well as the environmental process. The balance between the two is not being achieved in Jharkhand. The developmental process or the mining destruction process is being given a larger weight, while the conservation process or the environmental aspect of
Mohit, actually, what is empty forest syndrome is that though there are forests, there are trees and water in the forest, but there are no animal, right? The forest of Jharkhand is devoid of wildlife, right? Like you
yes,
mentioned in one of your answer regarding painting, right? In GI Tech about Palamu and even Hazaribagh. So I think in 2018, Palamu Tiger Reserve had zero tigers, and similarly,
tiger.
similarly we don't get many wildlife even in the Hazaribagh area which is very forested. So like, this is what they mean empty forest syndrome. So now you are also from the developmental industry, and you also have you have been living in Jharkhand for long. So can you tell me why is this so? Why the forest of Jharkhand are empty of wildlife?
First of all, thanks for the information, sir, and correcting me. Secondly, so I could think of many reasons for that. Uh, so, like you mentioned of the Plamu Tiger Reserve, which went tigerless in 2018 census. So we have to understand the geography of the Tiger Reserve. It is on the border of Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, and it is also a heavily left-wing extremism hit area. So the movement of Forest Department itself is restricted in those areas because of the fear and the presence of Naxalites in those areas. Secondly, the security forces that have been lodged there. So there is a cause that the animal must have migrated to the neighboring states like Chhattisgarh or Bihar because of the presence of firepower or the constant movement of security forces there. Secondly, the destruction of habitats or the fragmentation of jungle in Jharkhand. Uh, there are many instances where the, for example, if I take off Ramgarh and Hazaribagh, both used to be a contiguous forest in the past century, while now they have been heavily fragmented due to the development activities. That has led to the loss of the habitats for animals. That has over a period of time led to their decline. Thirdly, is the poaching and hunting practices that is prevalent within the tribal communities. For example, there is a tradition called Sandra in the tribal communities of Jharkhand, where there is a mass hunting during the holy times, during the time of Holi. That could have led to the depletion of some critically endangered species if that is not checked by the forest department. These are the major causes which I could think of regarding the anti-forest syndrome of Jharkhand. So,
Right, right. So like you also mentioned about Sandra and all this. So don't you think like in general this empty forest syndrome is a very sad thing? Like it is like having homes but there are no humans, right? So what the government is doing, what the forest department is doing in this aspect, are you aware of anything? In
So during the recent Sandra activity of the holy times, I came across a report where the sensitization activities by the forest department or the divisional forest officers was at the forefront of the entire process. They try to sensitize the tribals that according to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, killing of any scheduled animals is punishable by law. So they must refrain from doing it, otherwise they may face any legal challenges. Secondly, there were the patrolling were increased in those hot belts of Sandra. For example, in Parasnath Hills, I came across a report that the patrolling has increased by 10 times during the Sandra time to restrict the hunting of any animals per se. Thirdly, the intelligence network of the forest department has been improved over a period of time, through whether it through be technological interventions or the human interventions like the camera traps or the mobile sensors as well. These are the major things that has being done by the forest department in that regard.
all right, very good, Mohit. Right. So Mohit, one last question on are you aware of the term ESZ, ecologically sensitive zone? Can you define what it
Yes.
is?
So, ecologically sensitive zone are the contagious zone outside the territories of the national park and wildlife sanctuaries. At the same time, some portion of the ESZ areas could also overlap with the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. These are created to make a buffer between the communities or the other ecosystem and the forest ecosystem. They are the transition zone between these two ecosystems and has been approved under the Forest Conservation Act of 1980 and its further amendments.
Okay, okay. So it is. Are you sure it is under FCA 1980 or is it some other act?
I made a mistake here, sir. I beg your pardon. It is under Wildlife Protection Act 1972, sir, and its further amendments.
All right. Mohit, like you are from ISM, so can you tell me
Yes,
what
sir.
is the motto of Indian School of Mines?
Sir, it is a Uttishta Jagrat Prapya Varani Bodhar. That means still awake, arise, and stop not till your goal is achieved, which was given by Swami Vivekananda.
Okay. So like I just want to ask a question that you are from ISM Dhanbad, then you are already in mining industry, and you're already from Dhanbad, right? So there are lot of alumni of Dhanbad which you must also be in touch with in the mining sector. So when you become an IFS officer, you will be under tremendous pressure at times, right? To to divert the forest easily. So what will you do? How will you counter the such pressure and deal with such situations?
So, what I believe is pressure and influence works in both ways. It is not a one-sided affair. While it is true that they might try to influence my decision, but at the same time, it is also true that holding an statutory and constitutional position, I might be able to influence their destructive proposals as well. I might be able, since I am from the mining industry, I understand this industry, what I think is in and out because of the experience that I have gained over 6 years in Coal India. So I might be able to understand their perverse proposals that there may be some there crony attitude towards the forest diversion. So I might be able to pursue them that no, this amount of land is not necessary. You could do the efficient mining or green mining in that regard in those areas as well. So according to me, it works both ways. Pressure is not per se a larger thing to me, and I think the rule of law and moral integrity is above any sort of pressure and persuasion per se.
Okay, so like just following up on it, that why do you want to join Indian Forest Services? And then second thing is that can you tell me specifically, maybe just two example, that how your knowledge of mining and machinery industry and in mining job, this could help in forest services.
So, what I understand is mining and forest are antithetical to each other. Destruction of one leads to the formation of other, whether it be forest or the mining industry. Uh, I have been indulged with the devastation or the destruction of mining industry of the forest for such a long time. But what now I feel that I must give back to the forest or the environment in general what I have taken from the forest. Uh, uh, from being from the industry, I know that the what is the actual requirement of land, the actual requirement of forest, what are the implications of the mining activities on the forest. So I would be able to use my experience of the mining industry as well as the mining and machinery industry to a larger extent in the forest services. Secondly, I could pursue the mining companies to go for the green mining for the machinery based on the hydrogen technology, such the green hydrogen technology, such that the emissions from the industry could also reduce. Thirdly, the latest mining practices that I am aware of with my academic skills would be able would make me to pursue the mining companies as well to go for the alternate technology of mining rather than outrightly doing the open cast mining techniques.
So my last question on this is, like you mentioned, green mining, right? Green, and then there is also greening of coal technology, something like that. So tell me very specifically, what are the examples of these green mining, right? Techniques.
So, green mining is an umbrella term within which there comes many terms. First of all, is the mining operation techniques. Secondly, the inclusion of efficient mining machineries. Thirdly, is the sidelining of the blasting technique, which has a pervasive impact on the forest environment. So, first of all, for example, talking about the mining operation, longwall mining operation could be used instead of the strip mining process. For example, longwall mining that doesn't use, or in that sense, continuous mining could also be used because that doesn't use the blasting process, which has a pervasive impact on the flora and fauna. Secondly, the latest technologies like the efficient transformers, the efficient motors, the efficient engines could be used, which uses the HCNG's technology or the totally the hydrogen technology, which replaces the traditional thermal technologies in that regard. These are the major things that I could think of.
Okay. So my last question before ending the session, Mohit, is that just now I read a news that I don't remember the state, but somewhere a individual, I think leopard, right? It was involved in killing of multiple human beings. So basically, it has become a nuisance. So because of some reason, the chief wildlife warden has given permission to kill it, right? Basically, so like in your understanding, what effect does this killing an individual have on overall conservation of the species? Does it negatively
So,
affect it, or it is actually positive in a way?
so killing an individual means killing a leopard. Are you
Yes,
talking about the killing?
yes, yes.
So what I understand from your question is that uh, killing of the animal species, for example, the leopard, should be the last option. First of all, we must try to capture it or the to make it immobilize or to take it away from that area to the forest area. It should be the last resort for any forester in that regard. Secondly, we must focus on the root cause of the issue. That is the why such animals roam outside their traditional hinterlands. There could be basic scientific as well as the social and economic reasons in that regard. For example, destruction of habitat, fragmentation of habitat, the loss of food and fodder within food or prey within the forest ecosystem where they live. Uh, Thirdly, the farming practices that goes on outside the periphery of forest. For example, if the forest fringe communities make the production of rice or the paddy in that regard, then there ought to be a movement of the herbivorous animals that would roam about. And if the herbivorous animals roam outside their ranges, then the leopards or the carnivorous animal or the large carnivorous animal would certainly roam outside their ranges. So it is in that regard that we must understand the larger issue of this context, and we must take a precautionary principle approach in that regard and do the detailed analysis of the entire thing. Killing of an individual animal should be the last resort in that regard.
So okay, Mohit, that's it from us. So I think your session is over. You can leave the call for a couple of minutes, and then I'll text you to join back for the feedback, right?